Um, let's get started. So thank you everybody who's hopped on now. As we go, there's going to be people hopping on, things like that, but welcome. This is the More Than Baseball Unemployment Seminar with George Wentworth, our resident expert on unemployment law. We have Christina Jackson here translating, Jeremy Wolf, Executive Director of More Than Baseball. I'm Rosenblum Larson. I'm the President and Director of Operations for More Than Baseball. Welcome. Christina, you want to go ahead and translate?
Sure. Hola a todos que hablan español. Estamos en una meeting sobre beneficios de seguro de desempleo y vamos a empezar con preguntas. Y si tú tienes preguntas, tú puedes mandar un mensaje a mí y yo puedo hacer lo que yo puedo para ayudarte.
George, do you want to give an introduction? You're the resident expert here and you'll be basically running this discussion.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I come from an outfit called National Employment Law Project, and basically we work to help unemployed workers access any benefits that they're entitled to. With the big recession we have going now, that's a lot of people. So I'm basically going to be talking to you about how to apply for unemployment benefits today.
Great. So I guess we'll start off with the question that everybody has asked regarding unemployment. What state should we apply in? As a ball player, we play in different states. Spring training's in a different state. Often we live in a different state. Is there a state that's right for us to apply in?
Well, the rules, as far as, especially if you've worked in more than one state, is that you should apply in a state that you most recently worked, but you can really apply in any state where you have wages that were paid to you over the course of the last year and a half. So if, I mean, I'll be glad to answer specific questions, but every state system is different. The main thing that's gonna matter as far as you being eligible is that the state where you apply has some record of you having worked there, and the period of time that they're going to be looking at mostly is calendar year 2019. So if you had wages in a specific state in 2019, you can apply there. And if you had wages in more than one state, you could probably apply in either one of them.
Perfect. Christina, you want to go ahead and give us a quick translation of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Por el beneficios de seguro desempleo, es mejor que tú solicitar esta aplicación en el estado que tú estabas trabajando en el año 2019. Okay, perfect.
Perfect. So that answers that question. I think, obviously it's important that guys know that they can apply in states that, if they've worked in a state, they can apply there, but you can probably apply in the state they make reasonably well. So let's move on. Minor leaguers are getting paid $400 a week right now. We've had conversations about what that payment means, but how should we report that payment on an unemployment form? And is there like a particular way we should classify it?
Sure, and I've said to Simon in the time running up to this that there's a real question as to whether or not a particular state is gonna count that $400 against your unemployment insurance entitlement. And I think states are going to have different interpretations of their law about how to consider that payment. Generally, I think what you're talking about is some kind of stipend, general financial assistance for a specific purpose. I would make it clear that it is not wages and that it is, as I say, a stipend that doesn't really relate to, it's not replacing your wages. And then you're going to have to leave it up to the state to decide whether or not they're going to count that against you. I think a lot of states will not. There may be some states that will and might need to appeal that if they do.
Great. Christina, you want to jump in and give us a little quick overview of that?
Yeah, so for that specific question, because they are, most of them from a foreign country, would that apply to them? Or do you not know the answer?
I mean, if they're receiving the payment, yeah, it would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, cada de ustedes que juegan pelota aquí en los Estados Unidos están recibiendo $400 cada semana, pero cada estado es diferente. Si estás, si tú puedes pedir por los beneficios, pero es mejor si tú estás trabajando en un estado, pedir por estos beneficios en este estado, y cada ley en cada estado es diferente. So eso depende en cada estado.
Y también hay una posibilidad que personas no van a recibir beneficios en algún estado, pero en otros estados es posible que personas van a recibir beneficios en los estados. So, es diferente en cada estado. Es muy importante para entenderlo.
Sí.
All right. So let's move on. A lot of questions came up when I was talking to players about under the table income or income from lessons in the off season. Guys who work in the off season often get paid in cash in some respects. How should they go about reporting that information, and does that actually have to be reported on an unemployment form?
Basically, under regular state unemployment insurance law, the only thing that's going to be used to calculate your benefit rate is regular wages. That is compensation that you got for actually being employed. So that would be your baseball wages and anything else, and any other regular employer-employee job that you had. There is, if you are not eligible under regular state unemployment insurance, there is a new federal program that is intended to provide benefits to workers who do not qualify or do not have enough wages to qualify for regular unemployment insurance. That's called, it's called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, PUA. So when you go to file for your benefits, probably what the state will do is first check and see whether you're eligible for regular unemployment insurance. If you are not, then they should refer you over to the second program called PUA. That is a program that will also look at non-wages. So things like, if you've got your own sort of independent contractor thing, you're doing coaching or whatever, those earnings they may ask you about for the purposes of that program. But normally, this outside income, it's not counted usually to calculate your benefit rate. However, if you're still doing that during a week that you're filing for unemployment, they will deduct that income from your benefit rate. So you do need to, once you get into the program, you do need to report whatever earnings you have, even if they're not regular wages, on a week-to-week basis going forward. Sorry, Christina, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to summarize. I said in the beginning, if they have any questions, they can write me a message and then I'll handle it that way. Bueno, hay dos opciones de programas, el desempleo normal y la de PUA. Si tú estás trabajando abajo de la mesa, en la primera programa, normal desempleo, este dinero no importa nada, pero en el segundo es posible que el gobierno va a usar este dinero para bajar el desempleo que recibes. Yeah, I think that was all I wanted to say for that.
And let's talk a little more about the PUA. Is there something in particular that guys should they specify on their forms that they'd like to apply for the PUA? Is there, you know, a special application for that, or are players just applying in the same sort of basic application form?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the way it works is that you can only apply for PUA if you're not eligible for regular state unemployment insurance. So pretty much every state is, as a sort of a precondition for PUA, they will make you apply for regular state unemployment. So, I think what's unusual here is that the state unemployment programs are not used to dealing with ball players because there's a federal law that pretty much says your wages can't be used during the time that you're not playing. What's unusual here is you're in your season and you're unemployed. So I think that in many and maybe most instances, you should be eligible for regular state unemployment insurance. But if for some reason you're not, and there could be a number of different reasons, then you should be automatically moved over to this other program called PUA, which basically is going to have the same rules, except that it will consider more different kinds of income, and is specifically designed to make sure that people that don't get regular state unemployment do get this federal benefit under the program called PUA.
Great. So Christine, if you want to catch people up just really quick on that.
Yeah. La programa PUA es una programa federal y es por personas que no pueden recibir desempleo regular o normal. Pero cada estado va a estar diferente porque es raro que ustedes normalmente están en la temporada de pelota ahora. Por eso la primera es normal desempleo y el segundo es el programa federal PUA. Okay.
Awesome. And so I guess that you sort of answered the question, but what does the appeal process look like if we are rejected from unemployment? And is that process something that, I mean, a number of guys, I think the important thing to note here is that you're sort of saying don't necessarily give up if you receive a rejection letter right away. Is that sort of a good way to summarize what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a couple of different letters you can get. One is going to be do you have good wages that are going to qualify you for a weekly benefit rate under state unemployment insurance, and if you get something that says you don't have good wages, that's where you should definitely be getting pushed over to the PUA program. The other kind of letter you could get is basically something that says you're not qualified for some other reason, such as, what I would think would be a mistaken understanding of that you have a contract or that they don't think you're unemployed. Yes, either one of those can be appealed. There should be on the bottom of any of those letters a statement that says how you appeal and tells you how long you have to appeal. Usually, depending on the state, you usually have to file an appeal within, it can be as little as 7 days or as long as 21 days. But definitely, if you get something that says that looks like you're not eligible, look at the bottom or the back of the determination. There should be some a statement of what your rights are as far as how you appeal. And most of those appeals are pretty much done by telephone.
Okay, ready? Okay, esto es un proceso y si recibes una alerta que negación de la programa normal de desempleo, uno puede solicitar o apelar para la programa segunda federal de PUA. Y normalmente este proceso de solicitar o apelar es 7 de 21 días. Tú tienes este tiempo para llamar por teléfono para pedir otra vez de este programa.
Cool. And so that sort of clears anything up for the general questions. But George, if you wanted to sort of go over any last sort of points before we open up the floor to questions from guys, that'd be awesome.
Sure. I mean, I think, as I said, important, generally the states take applications online. If you're, when you're trying to decide where to file, think about where you worked and specifically wages that you received in 2019 should at least narrow down the states that you can file in. Go to their state unemployment insurance website. There should be instructions on how to file. This is right now more people filing than have ever filed in the history of unemployment insurance. 26 million people have filed in the last 6 weeks. So don't be surprised if there's delays, especially if you're coming in by phone, but even the online systems have been crashing here and there. Just kind of stick with it. And importantly, when you file, you should try to make your claim effective the first week that you became unemployed. Normally the state will make your claim effective the week that you file your claim, but you should try and you should ask them to backdate it to the week that you became unemployed.
Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the floor for questions. What's going to happen is I'm going to unmute everybody at the same time. So if there's a lot of noise here, I apologize, but I'm going to unmute all you guys and sort of jump in when you see fit to ask a question. So you guys should be all unmuted now. Anybody have anything on their mind?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So if like for applying in Florida or Michigan, where I've played, and I live in North Carolina, what would I put for the address there? Because they ask for like an address, and I don't have a Florida address.
Let me tell you, if you have, so you had wages in 2019 in Michigan and Florida?
Yes.
I would strongly encourage you to file in Michigan. Florida has a lot of problems with their unemployment system. You might have even seen some stories on the news about how hard it is to apply there. They also have a much lower benefit rate. So try to file against Michigan. You can give your North Carolina address. It doesn't matter as long as you've got wages in Michigan. You can file against their program.
Okay, thank you.
I had a quick question. What you said we could backdate the potential time where we, were sent home, or like I guess the commissioner sent us that we were suspended, or or no longer like playing in the MLB, I guess, or minor leagues. Is that the date that we got that piece of mail that we would backdate it to?
Yeah, what I said was you should try. I'm not sure that because of the overwhelming numbers of people that are applying right now, states have been a little bit more relaxed about backdating it.
Okay.
Their default is to just say, hey, I filed today, the claim is effective this week. But they're being more relaxed because they know it's been so hard to get through. So you should at least ask. You might not get it, but you know, fairness, you
Gotcha.
been unemployed more than a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, that's true. And
I
then
would
just
say-
another. Oh,
If
sorry.
I'm going to
Go
just
ahead.
jump in here really quick. Also, so if you aren't able, so in my case, I tried to apply in Wisconsin, didn't work there. They wouldn't let me backdate my unemployment beyond a couple of weeks before application. Is that, if somebody runs into something like that, George, is there a procedure for going about that?
Yeah, I mean, you could, once you've got your benefits and your, you know, let's say they make it effective the week a couple weeks later than you think they should be, you can appeal it, but it's kind of uphill. I mean, you have to give good cause for why you didn't. Now, if you were, say, for example, you were trying to call for 2 weeks and couldn't get through, that's a good cause to backdate your claim. If somebody files today and says, I want to backdate it to, you know, the end of March, and they ask whether you have good causes to do that, is like, well, why didn't you file earlier? If you just say, I didn't think of it, or I'm just getting onto it, generally, they're not going to backdate for that reason.
Okay.
Max, did you have another question?
Yeah, the other quick question was, I guess it was sort of answered earlier, but I had it written down here, is I've heard a lot of family members and friends say that, you know, they've gone and collected unemployment via like waiting online. You said there might be a way to do it with a website or virtually, because I'm not in the state. I would claim those in New York, and I'm currently in Florida.
Yeah, that you should be able to go to the New York Department of Labor unemployment insurance website, and there should be instructions there on how to file. It should be online with hopefully telephone assistance if you need it. But yeah, it's unusual. Florida, it's very unusual to be filing in person, and the only reason people are standing in line in Florida is because their online system broke down.
Right. Thank you.
And I'm going to jump in here really quick. Si hay personas que hablan español que quiere preguntar algo, envía un mensaje a Christina Jackson o yo, y podemos traducir y hablar con George para contestar las preguntas. Anybody else have any questions? Floor is open.
So I just want to go ahead and ask, I'm not sure if it was answered. I'm currently in Arizona. I'm from New York. Do I file for New York unemployment?
So where did you work in 2019?
I was in Arizona, California, Utah, and Iowa.
You could file in one of those 4 states where you worked.
Okay.
What's the most recent? Do you have any idea whether you had more wages in any of them, or?
I believe the most was in Utah.
Yeah, that would probably be a good idea. Arizona is another tough state that has some of the lowest benefits. But yeah, I mean, I think Arizona or Utah sounds like they make sense. One of the things I did not mention that is why this is of greater interest now is there is a special program I mean, if you file for unemployment insurance, your benefit amount is based on something like half of what your average wage was. And the minimum benefits are running anywhere from $100 to $260. And if you were making, let's say, $700 a week during your playing time, your average benefit might be half of that, maybe $300, $350. However, this is a one-time offer. This new federal law that passed about a month ago basically says that everybody who does qualify for a regular unemployment insurance will get an additional $600 per week attached to each check. That deal, which is got another special program name, is in effect through the end of July. So even if benefits are relatively small in the state that you're filing in, as long as you're eligible, at some point, the state will attach $600 to your check. May not be at the same time, it may come afterwards, but that is something that they're doing because of the unusual nature of this recession and this COVID crisis. So that's just that's a little more incentive to, even if the process gets a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, I'm going to just reiterate, floor is open for questions if anybody wants to jump in. I know we have some new people coming in.
So I'm in New York right now, and I only played in Florida last year. That's the only place I collected a paycheck. So when I'm on the unemployment website, it's asking me for my residency, and it's asking for the county, and I need to select a county. And obviously I'm not, from Florida.
Right.
So how do I put my address in, or is there another way to do this?
I mean, they should be accepting what they call these interstate claims. And if, yeah, I mean, there's problems with that Florida system. I would have thought there'd be some box to check off for another state. But if there isn't, I don't know what to say. Maybe put it in the county that you played in. But
Okay.
It shouldn't be relevant, really. Sorry.
No.
Somebody sent through the chat, he said, do minor league players have to show pay stubs or income from their respective teams to apply for unemployment?
In general, you should not have to have pay stubs for regular unemployment insurance, because the way it works is employers, including minor league ball clubs, are required to report your wages to the state every quarter. So if you had wages in Arizona throughout 2019, the state of Arizona Labor Department should be able to pull up a file and show all those wages that you earned and the quarter you earned them in. But if you are, where the pay stubs might come in would be if for some reason you're bumped off of regular state unemployment insurance and because they don't have evidence of wages or whatever, you could get asked for pay stubs with that PUA program. But in general, you don't need to.
Does that answer?
Georgia? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to just ask more of a personal question. So like you said, I collected wages in Florida, Ohio, and Rhode Island last year. Is there a state, I know you said Florida's kind of a mess, but the majority of the wages were from Florida that I received. So did you say if there is a majority of wages in one state, you have to apply there, or kind of?
No, there's not a majority rule. You can apply in any of the states where you can in any of the states where you had wages during the what they call the base period. And for most of you guys, it's going to be, the base period is going to be calendar year 2019. So if you have Rhode Island and would you say Ohio wages,
Ohio, yeah.
you could apply against either of those. Where do you live? Where are you living now?
So I live in Ohio, but like, I guess technically I am a resident of Illinois still.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, you can apply in Ohio or Rhode Island. Ohio, I mean, the fact that you live there might, you know, make it more comfortable. Rhode Island, I think, has, you know, their benefits are probably a little bit more generous, but I think they're either one of those is going to be easier to file in than Florida.
Okay, yeah. So you would recommend Ohio or Rhode Island over Florida?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So I missed the beginning of this. I was having internet issues. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything, if there's a specific thing that we have to file for, or if it's just a general unemployment. I guess if there's some for our case being baseball players.
Sorry. Yeah, you should sorry.
Sorry.
You should go to the state unemployment insurance website and start by filing for regular state unemployment insurance. Normally,
Okay.
you're not eligible, but this is a very unusual circumstance in which you're in the season and you're unemployed. So your wages should be usable for regular state unemployment insurance. Go and apply there. Only if you're not eligible for regular state benefits would you be, basically they would refer you over to this other separate federal program called PUA.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was there for that part. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any. If there was a certain thing we had to do. Thank you.
Just had a question come in on the chat. You had mentioned the $600 a week additional.
Yeah.
It was asked if that's the same as regular state unemployment or whether there's a sort of a different application process for that.
No, you don't have to apply for that separately. If the way the law is written is if anybody is eligible for any kind of unemployment insurance whatsoever, and that could be it could be regular state unemployment insurance, it could be PUA. There's a couple other programs out there. Any form of unemployment insurance, any amount, between now and the end of July, the state would be required to add $600 to it. It's called, these things all have acronyms. This one is called Pandemic Unemployment Compensation, or PUC, but it's an extra $600 that will be tied, no matter how small the benefit, even if even if your benefit payment was $1, the law says between now and July, add $600 to it. You do not have to apply separately. The state will be obligated to do it. They may, depending on where you are by the time you're determined eligible, the state may add it right directly to your check, or you may get a separate payment with the $600 separately. But as long as you're eligible, you'll be required to, the state's required to add it.
Another question came in asking if there's a site or a place, maybe NELP has something, National Employment Law Project, maybe they have something that we can sort of send out as an email blast to players, or a website that might be helpful as a resource.
Sure. We have some stuff on our website, and I'll make sure to get it to you, Simon, so that you can get it out through your website.
Perfect. And this, again, this conversation is being recorded, so this will be posted and available as well. If anybody wants to send it to other folks or something like that. All right. Does anybody have any final questions for George? We'll take, a few more. I mean, there's no rush here, but floor is wide open for questions if anybody has them.
Yes, I'll jump in. All right, go ahead. Yeah, so basically, I guess I have like two quick questions. The first one is, you briefly mentioned the fact that, the wages and what the team had paid you had to, or any employer had to go back like a year and a half or something, previously. And I just got signed last year. And previous to that, I was in school, so I didn't really report any wages. Could I still apply for the unemployment benefit?
Yes, and like I say, so you didn't work at all in 2019?
So I did, but starting up in June after I got signed. So it was just, I guess 3 months, because our season ended, the first week of September. So it was very brief.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you should definitely apply. I mean, the short answer to anybody's question is you should all definitely apply. But if you would be an example of somebody who has a pretty good probability that you won't have enough wages to qualify for a regular state unemployment benefit. So your people in your category are, for the first time now, going to be eligible for this federal benefit under the pandemic PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which is a completely federally paid benefit that is meant to cover people who, for whatever reason, are not eligible for regular state unemployment. So go through the front door of regular unemployment. When they tell you you're ineligible, you should then make sure that they're processing you for this second program called PUA.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
I think there was another question in there earlier. Somebody else want to jump in?
Now, I was going to ask, because I'm with the Blue Jays, but last year I was in Vancouver, Canada. So I don't know how I'm going to file that up.
So were all your wages in 2019 in Canada?
Yeah.
Where are you living now?
Because I go back and forward from Florida and Puerto Rico. So I don't know which one should I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's and Puerto Rico has a system too.
Yeah, correct.
There's an arrangement between the U.S. and Canada that sometimes will allow you to file using wages earned in Canada. It's kind of like a reciprocal arrangement. So if you're filing, whether it's Puerto Rico or Florida, again, between those two, I'd probably go with Puerto Rico, and just ask for, specify that you had Canadian wages. They should basically get you the use of those wages. If that is a problem, a longer shot is that Canada has its own unemployment program that you can apply for. You might actually, the more I think about it, you might just try filing checking with Canada first to see whether you can do that. And I'll give Simon the number for Canada, and he can get it to you. Because it's just basically going to be a phone call, and just explain your situation and see whether they'll let you file a Canada unemployment claim.
Got it. Thank you.
Just got another question in on the chat. He said, would we list the minor league team we played for in each state that we were filing as our employer, even though the MLB organization is the one that pays us?
You know, I'm pretty sure that your teams are required to report your wages. So I would list, in response to the question, I would give your team, as I say, it should be kind of elementary for the state, because they're going to basically plug in your social security number and look at a file and see if there's wages for you. And they might be listed as under your team, or they might be listed under MLB. But if they ask you, I would give the name of the team, and they should be able to sort that out.
I will say in the case of minor leaguers, and this is sort of my own experience, our paychecks are all from the MLB team, but they do report them as taxable income in the state that you're playing in. So if I played a minor league season in Kentucky, I was getting paid by the Tampa Bay Rays, but my taxes were being deducted as Kentucky taxes. So that would mean that there's reporting going on there. So, you know, if I would report both the team name and the Tampa Bay Rays, or just I played for the Bowling Green Hot Rods, the Bowling Green Hot Rods and the Tampa Bay Rays, or just the Bowling Green Hot Rods.
Love that name.
If anybody else has any questions, feel free to ask them now. Floor is wide open for y'all. All right. Well, it sounds like we've answered every question about unemployment there is to answer. Thank you all for hopping on the call. George, is there anything you wanted to say before we adjourn here?
Just, you know, if you guys have issues and it's anything that I might be able to help with, just pass them through Simon, and I'll try to get whatever assistance we can offer.
Great. Yeah, you guys all have my email address. It's simon@morethanbaseball.org. You can reach us through the website, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. We are here to answer your questions and be of help. Thank you guys so much for joining. We really appreciate it. And thank you again, George, for all your sage advice on unemployment.
Yeah, we'll see. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you, George.
Appreciate you guys. I'm going to close out the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Right. Bye.
Bye, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you.